and welcome to another speed build. Today I'm sharing an Earthship inspired tiny house, and in case you've never heard of what Earthship is before, it's a type of sustainable architecture that is meant to be as off the grid as possible. These homes use passive solar technology, they use a lot of upcycled materials such as bottles and cans, and most importantly tires. They also use earth in their construction and other natural materials that can be found around where the house is built. And these houses are also usually built into the ground on one side so that they can take advantage of the earth surrounding the house to help stay cool. And it is just really cool, some of the things that are used in these houses to give the house those creature comforts that we're all used to in a way that is better for the environment. I just learned a lot of really neat things when I was doing some research on these types of houses. And I'll talk about some of those other things as we get further into this video. But this house in particular was inspired by an Earthship that I saw from Adelaide, Australia. I just really like the look of it. I found this really neat article about it, and there's this 20-minute video within that article that talked about all of the things that they had done to build that house and the things that they incorporated with it. So that video was really neat, and I tried to replicate some of those things that I saw in that video in this build as best as I could. I mean, we're of course limited by what you can do in The Sims, but I will leave a link to that article in the description in case any of you want to check that out and see the house that inspired this one and check out that video and learn some things about it. I've been wanting to try to make an Earthship in this game for a while now, but I kept putting it off for one reason or another. As I'm sure you'll have guessed by now, the reason why I'm doing this now is that the next expansion pack for The Sims 4 was announced, and it is going to be called Eco Lifestyle. So when I saw that was going to be the next pack, it gave me a bit of inspiration to finally try to build this. But yeah, the reaction to this being the next expansion pack was not really positive. A lot of people were very unhappy when they found out that this is going to be the next expansion pack. There are, of course, a lot of people who are enthusiastic about it, and they're really looking forward to it. When I first heard that this was going to be the next expansion pack, I wasn't really that happy. Like, I guess my reaction was that I was kind of apathetic. I was like, all right. I mean, I wasn't like enraged by it, but I wasn't really like, oh wow, this is exactly what I've been wanting. Like, I'm so excited to get this. I was just kind of like, okay, so I guess that's what this is going to be. And it just felt, I don't know, like it just felt like kind of a weird choice for the next expansion pack to me at first, because as others have pointed out, the whole eco lifestyle thing and being sustainable is something that's been more lightly touched on by other packs. Like Laundry Day stuff was originally supposed to be an eco stuff pack. Like that's what laundry was listed under in that whole stuff pack vote that we had 3 or 4 years ago at this point. So that had kind of some hits of that sustainability to it. And then tiny living, of course, with the whole tiny living thing and reduced bills by having tiny houses, like that touches on that as well. And then we had the whole conservation thing with island living. So it just, I don't know, it just felt kind of weird to me that they would then devote a whole expansion pack to this when you've seen bits and pieces of this in other packs. And we also had the off-the-grid lot trait that came with the patch, and that wasn't really done that well. So it's like we have this pack now to, I guess, better do that theme. So like my initial reaction was, we're now getting this full expansion pack dedicated to a theme that other packs maybe should have done a bit better. I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing because this is something that I feel maybe, like as others have said, this is something that I feel maybe would have worked better for a smaller pack like a stuff pack or a game pack, and then we could have had something else as an expansion pack. I don't know. I definitely have very mixed feelings on it, and when I saw the trailer, I wasn't really like, I was still kind of like, oh, I don't know about this. It really doesn't feel like there's enough to this to be a full expansion pack. And with the whole conservation thing that we had with Island Living, it felt like this pack might just be taking that whole cleaning up mechanic and then doing it a bit better, but then kind of like taking that same thing and then doing it on another scale as like the main feature of a pack. And I just wasn't really sure that I was a huge fan of that. But I will say, like, my thoughts on this pack have gone a bit more positive as we've learned more things about it. Like, I do like the hobbies and stuff that come with it. Like, we have candle making. I think we also get canning, although I'm not sure if that was really confirmed or if that was more so something that people were speculating. And there was also something to upcycle furniture. So I also like the whole thing where you can get junk furniture and then upcycle it into nicer stuff. I just really like that this is a pack that's going to come with more hobbies, because those are always great to have in the game. And I have been wanting like proper functioning solar panels and maybe methods of water collecting and things like that, like just to have the off the grid theme done better. I'm not sure that an expansion pack is really like the way I wanted that theme done, but that's just my own personal thought on this matter. And I do want to get back to talking about the build at some point, so I don't want to spend this whole entire video going all into my thoughts on the situation. But as I said, while I'm still on the fence about this pack and still have mixed feelings about it, I do feel a bit more positive about it than I originally do. And we did find out that the whole pollution thing isn't going to affect just the New World, which I think was called Evergreen Harbor. It's also going to affect the other world somewhat, although we have no idea how that's really going to be. And I don't know if it's going to be something that's cool or if it's going to be something that's just more of a nuisance that you end up just turning it off in your save files. But that is nice to see that this pack isn't like Strangerville, where everything is just contained to one world, because like with expansion packs, I personally like them to be this thing that impacts the whole game and kind of changes the way the whole game works. Just has something that really impacts game-wide rather than only in specific scenarios. So I'm glad that there is a way in which this pack isn't going to be like that. And also, since we've only seen a 1:30 long trailer, there's still a lot that we don't know about this pack. Like, I have no idea how the whole cleaning up system is really going to work. I don't know if it's going to work like the conservation career in Island Living. We don't know. So the pack could turn out to be better than I think as I learn more about it, or it could turn out to be what how I worried it was going to be, where it's going to be something that, because my initial worry is that this is not going to be replayable. You're going to go through cleaning up Evergreen Harbor once and then not do it again. So I don't know which way this is going to go once we learn more about it. But I would like to be optimistic and hope that it's going to actually turn out to be a really cool pack. But I think that's enough talking about eco lifestyle for now. So getting back to the build, I am a good bit of the way through the landscaping on this. So I'm just working out some paths, or I just finished that. So here I'm making this paved area up here. It's supposed to be like a gravel area. I made that a laundry area. I just kind of had the stairs going up to that area and I wasn't really sure what else to do with it. So I thought this would be a good use for that space. So we just got a sitting area over here. And that area of the house that is supposed to look like it's underground, I used that gravel roof on it because that one house that I said this one was inspired by, on that house, they used a gravel roof above the area that was underground. And I think this is something that's commonly done in these airships, where they use a gravel roof. That way, when it rains, the water can sift down through it and the water can collect and it could be funneled out and then stored to be used later. Because they said they did that on that house where they had a gravel roof, and then underneath it, they of course had a waterproof layer to stop the water from getting through to the house below. But I just thought that was a really cool method of collecting water. And also, the walls in these houses are commonly built by using earth pack tires. So they'll just cram these tires full of earth and then basically stack them on top of each other and use them as brick. And I could be wrong, but I think they do still use some concrete. But by using the tires, it minimizes that use of concrete. I also read that the Earthships are usually U-shaped in the area that sticks out in the back, because you can't really get a square room by using those tires, so they tend to have a rounded shape because of that. Obviously, we have our limits with the building system in The Sims 4, so I had to make this a square, but that was just a neat little detail that I wanted to share. So over here, I created this shed type structure, and I wanted it to look like this is where the battery packs are stored, so the energy that's taken in through the solar panels can be stored here. I know it's a bit far away from the house. This is probably very unrealistic. The house that this was inspired by had the battery packs in the entry area, but I didn't really have enough space in there to try to do that, so I just settled for making this shed that's off in the distance. And this also doubles as a woodworking area. I thought that would be something really nice to have here. So, they have this woodworking table so they can try to make some of their own furniture. And also, I should probably explain all of the tires that I used to make it, used to hold up the structure, because I did cover the columns with those tires. So I did that because the house that this is inspired by also had a lot of tires used in structures elsewhere on the lot. Like, they showed a shed that they had where it was held up by tires. I thought that was really cool. So I wanted to try to replicate that in this build. I was hoping that I could find some kind of canvas awning to use and then make it look like that was held up by tires. But unfortunately, we didn't really have anything like that. So the closest, the easiest thing to use that I could find was this wooden structure from Jungle Adventure, but I think that worked pretty well. It just looks like the tires are holding up the roof, which is maybe a little precarious. And my stacking of the tires is not really that neat either. Like, it looks kind of like the Leaning Tower of tires in places. And I try my best to keep the tires straight, but I only have so much patience when it comes to sitting there and stacking virtual tires. Like, I spent half an hour trying to stack those tires, which is maybe too much of my life spent doing that. So I don't know, I just didn't want to spend any more time than that trying to get these tires exact, because it's very hard due to the way that I had to position the camera when stacking them. But yeah, that's like a little detail in this build that I really liked. Even though it was tedious, I do like the end result of it. I also saw that they used tires to sort of create retaining walls elsewhere on the land around the house, and that was something that I thought was really neat and that I wanted to try to do in this build. But unfortunately, when you mess with the terrain in this game, and you raise the terrain, it makes it so anything you place on top of that floats. So I couldn't really do that, because anytime I tried to do that, the tires would float. So I unfortunately had to give up on that idea. But as you can see, we also do have a large garden area on the left side of the lot. And I originally wanted to do something like kind of down the back here, like have a stepped garden down the back of the hill, but due to the terrain like being kind of high up in the back, it didn't really work out well. And I was also worried that it wasn't functional, also looked really bad. So I just completely scrapped that idea and just made it so the garden was on the flat area towards the edge of the lot. And when you do download this, there will be a bunch of plants that are planted there. So if you don't want to have to deal with planting stuff, then you won't have to worry about that. It'll be taken care of when you download it. But we've got a pretty good amount of the landscaping done. It took me so long to do the outside of this build. Like, I thought, seeing as this is a tiny house, that I was gonna have maybe 10 minutes of sped up footage, but no, I have 20 minutes because it took me so long to try to figure out stuff on the outside, and I also tried to incorporate a lot of detail into the outside of the build. But here we've got a little seating area, and this area is just really cute. We got a bunch of plants here. I also added a bike there. I thought that would be, just so they can kind of bike around the island, since this is built on the island that's in Windenburg. So I could just see them getting on that and kind of exploring the island that they live on. And I also stuck those wooden pegs there because I saw that a lot of these houses had bottle walls where they take the bottom part of a bottle and build it into the wall. And that also helps with regulating the temperature of the building in addition to looking really pretty. And I thought that was really cool, but that we don't have a good way to do that in this game. So the closest thing I could think of was just taking that one wood peg decoration and sizing it down and placing it all over that wall in different colors so it maybe looked like different bottles. I don't know, it probably didn't really work that well, but I thought it kind of worked to get that look of like using different materials on the outside of the build. But here I'm working on the greenhouse. This isn't really that functional. I just stuck a couple of those planter boxes right near the door because I figured that Sims would probably be able to get to them in that spot. I wasn't really sure how functional it would be if I stuck them again against the edge of the room, like near the roof where it gets a little bit shorter, because sometimes I think Sims have issues with getting into those rooms that are made of roofs. So I just mostly use decorative plants, and I use those tires as planters for them. That was another thing that I saw done in Earthship, so I thought that was really cool. And you may have seen me do that elsewhere in the lot where I stuck lavender plants in tires. I don't know, that's just something that I thought was really neat. And I would love to build another Earthship when we get Eco Lifestyle, probably a bigger and fancier one, because I do like making these kinds of builds, so I am looking forward to getting more stuff to make these builds. And as I said before, having functional solar panels that aren't just purely decorative. I think I'm more excited for the build and buy mode stuff with this pack than I am for the actual gameplay. And I will say, I don't think I'm going to be doing a Let's Play for this expansion pack. I don't know. I just don't think it's going to be a very good pack to make a Let's Play on, because I feel like it's gonna be a situation where everyone's just kind of doing the same thing with their series, which I think is what I think that's what tends to happen with expansion pack Let's Plays sometimes. And I don't know, like I just don't think in general I'm really going to be doing expansion pack specific Let's Plays in the future, because the past 3 I just have kind of dropped, which I'm really sorry about. But I don't know, I think for me, like, just doing expansion pack or doing a Let's Play purely focused on expansion pack just doesn't really go well with my playstyle, because I'm more someone who likes to make sims and care about their story and kind of just focus on playing out their lives rather than trying to grind through something that comes with an expansion pack. So I feel like the Let's Plays that I like the most are the ones that I start just because I have something that I'm really excited about, like my Pleasant Family Let's Play I have going on The Sims 2, and the Caliente Family one that I did last year in The Sims 4, and also my Seasons Let's Play. I really liked that one, and that was because that was a family that I really liked that I made previous to even knowing that Seasons was coming out. So I think because I was just so excited to play that family is why I stuck with that series. But I feel like kind of the problem with expansion pack Let's Plays is that you have the pack, you know what the pack's going to be about, and then I'm just sitting there trying to come up with some kind of background story that works for that pack, even if it's not something that I'm completely in love with, and that makes it so I just kind of lose interest in those series. So yeah, I really want to focus on, like, if I start something, I want it to be because it's something that I'm really passionate about, not that I feel like I need to do it to explore some expansion pack. So yeah, I just wanted to let you all know that. I also just prefer to be able to use stuff from different packs in a Let's Play rather than having to fully focus on one pack. So who knows, like maybe I'll get some idea that I really like that incorporates eco lifestyle but doesn't fully focus on it. I don't know, no guarantees on that. But we're working on the inside of this build now, and it's already a good bit of the way done. So here I'm working on the room that's supposed to be like the bedroom slash dining room slash kitchen. So it's just kind of this all-in-one room, and that other room that's off the green room, or the greenhouse, that room's just kind of like a hobby area slash the living room. So we've got a yoga mat in there so they can do some nice relaxing yoga. They can also just sit and chill on the couch. There's also a floor arranging station out there, and I do also add a bookshelf out there because I realized that I didn't have one of those in this build, so I figured we might as well just try to cram one in. But I did use those bead curtains in here around the bed because I really wanted to add this kind of bohemian vibe to this build. And I just think that's something that looks really neat. I did something like that in another build, and I play tested it, and it did work. So that should be fine, but I'll play test it again just to double check. And there are some other things that I need to play test to make sure they work in this build, because there's a few things that I'm not really sure of, but I think everything should be pretty much functional with this build. So over here, we've got this changing area. I just used that partition to kind of separate it because I was thinking that, there's those big old windows in the front. So, maybe they, like, if people are walking by or something like that, they might just want to kind of semi-private spot to go to change. That was just kind of my line of thinking when doing that, or, just to add some sort of separation to this room since there is so much that's packed within this space. So over here, I'm laying out everything for the kitchen. It's not a very big kitchen because, again, we really don't have a lot of space here, but it has everything your Sims need, and I do like how it looks. And then over here, we've got this little dining area, and since I didn't have any room to add a desk into this build, I just added a laptop onto the top of that table, so they do have a computer somewhere in this build. I thought about adding a TV, but that was something that I felt didn't really make sense for this build. Like I didn't think too specifically about the Sims that are living here, but I don't know, I just kind of saw them as people who like to spend a lot of their time being outdoors and don't really like to just spend a lot of time sitting inside doing stuff like watching TV. You know, they're more about doing other kinds of hobbies and activities. But I did add a tablet, so I imagine that, you know, when they do want to watch something, they either just use the tablet or their computer to do it, but it's not very frequent that they end up doing that. Here I'm getting a little bit more light in here since this room was feeling a little bit dark, which is the unfortunate thing about having an area that's, you know, completely within the earth. You obviously can't have any windows. So now we're just going through and adding the clutter to the kitchen. I didn't really add too much. I didn't want to go too overboard with clutter in this build. Like, I wanted to have a slightly cluttered feel to it, but I also wanted it to feel sort of minimum, you know, like, or minimal, you know, like they have just the stuff they need, but they don't really have a ton of other excess stuff sitting around. So that is pretty much it for this area here. So the last thing that we have to do in this build is the bathroom. I didn't really like, this is a very small bathroom, so I wasn't really able to do anything too crazy with it. I originally used this one toilet that came with Get to Work, which looks a little bit weird, and I did that because I was thinking maybe that looks kind of like it was a composting toilet, which I think is what you tend to use in these kinds of situations. But I wasn't really liking how that looks, so I ended up just going with the tiny living toilet instead. We're almost done with the build though, so surely we'll be moving on to the fly-through. And also, feel free to let me know your thoughts on eco lifestyle because I love to hear your opinions on this pack. But as usual, there will be a link to download this build in the description. There will also be stuff in there how to find it in-game, and that's gonna be it for me, so hope you enjoy the rest of the video.